What are you? Number... That would be number...
Speedy, wait a second.
Number 4. There's 4 on here. 4 on here. This is 4. How about now?
Perfect now.
Yeah. Okay. All right. This is Errol Marks from the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. We're here at Super Bowl 59, Jabba in the Mouth. We're at the tail end of Radio Row. We're here with a very special guest, the director of Concussed. Ladies and gentlemen, David. What's up, Dave?
What's going on? Concussed American Dream. It's out now. I know you just watched the trailer.
Yes.
I have a lot of people come up to me and say, that was such a great film. And other people say, I've never heard of it, which is weird. It's like you have this big buzz and then others, there's still a lot of people that haven't got to view it yet.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to check it out. It's an hour and 28 minutes. So if you guys listen, it's an hour and 28 minutes of your time, and it gives you so much information about CTE, concussions, Brett Favre, all these different people that have been having problems. Tyler Sesh, which is pretty much all about him. The story is really mainly about him. The problem is right now the NFL is trying to figure out how they can protect their players, but over the years there was really nothing that protected these players, and that's why Dave made a documentary about it.
Yeah, I think the thing with concussions and awareness, like I played football up to community college, I played quarterback, that's nothing, but I started suffering these same symptoms. I'm like, what's wrong with me? And when I went to graduate school, I was like, maybe I should explore this. And one of the things, like I've worked with MMA fighters like the Diaz brothers and in that whole field, Dan Henderson, and you see there's something going on with people that get hit in the head. What is it? And here's the thing, we're not trying to kill anything. And even Brett Favre says in the film, we love football. Like, still watch it. I'll be watching there at the game on Sunday. So it's like, it's not like we're against it, but we want to create awareness for those that are coming up, like Tyler's story, who wasn't from New York, but he actually, here's a fun fact. He got the key to the city by the mayor, even though he wasn't a superstar. It was like, what made Tyler so special? And then why did he die so soon? It's like something's going on here.
And that's the problem right now. And I've had concussions before I even came here. I think I had a concussion. I was skating on a pond. I hit a rivet in the ice and I fell back. I landed on my neck and then hit my head on the ice. I was out for like 3 seconds and I got up and I didn't have any symptoms, but throughout the last couple of days before I even came out here, I had so many headaches, nerve headaches all over my head. And I was asking my doctor, well, you probably had a partial concussion. So there's so many ways to look at a concussion on how it can destroy your mind, your brain, and activity of movement and understanding, like even moving your hands. I mean, your brain controls all the movement of your hands, your feet. I mean, how you walk, everything comes from your brain. Am I right or wrong?
Yeah, no, I mean, neurologically, this is where it starts. The brain tells everything, like me talking to you and using my hand, that's from the brain, right? That's where it stems from. So if this is messed up right here, you're going to have an issue. You can't get around it. And what doctors say, it's neurodegenerative, which means you can't get better, which is kind of scary. And that's why some players don't want to know. And you see some players retiring early, like Patrick Willis, Luke Kuechly,
Calvin Johnson,
Megatron,
DeBrickashaw Ferguson.
Exactly. And they just want to protect their brains because you can't, you can get other things in rehab, but you can't rehab your brain. Muhammad Ali used to think if he got hit in the head more, he could build up like calluses his brain, and that's just not the case. Your brain is like on jello, and that's all that's protecting it, which is nothing.
It's like a motor mount, okay? A motor mount holds the engine in. As soon as the motor mount gets wiggled and it starts to break, everything starts to move. Once it starts to move, the engine could fall right out, and that's where your brain is. You have a motor mount. If you drop or you hit the floor, or you hit the ice, or you hit anything a certain amount of times, eventually the mounts are going to break. And once they break, there's no fixing it like it is a car.
And the thing is, like, fans don't want to hear this side, and that's why I wanted to make a movie. It's not just clinical, so it's not from here, interview. It's I'm taking you on a roller coaster ride. When I did an interview with the New York Post when it first came out, I said, if you don't like it, you can have your money. I'll pay you your money back, or if you don't cry. Because I don't want people to just think, well, this is a documentary, this is going to be boring. Because, hey, I want to talk about why Jaden Daniels is better than Caleb Williams or there's all these fun things, and we can talk about that too. But I also want people to realize, hey, those guys out there, and I still think about it. You see like a Saquon Barkley or these running backs that are getting hit in the head. We protect the quarterbacks, right? They slide, and it's like they're not. But these other guys are still getting some blows to the head.
Let me ask you something. Sometimes it's not just the blows to the head; it's how kids play. So I coach high school football, and we had to tell a kid, "You got to stop playing. We're worried about your safety because every time he ran with the ball or tried to tackle, lead with the head." And it's one of those things because you can pop the ball out if you hit it with your helmet. We used to teach years ago when I played, and I'm sure when you played, bite the ball when you're tackling. Get your head across. Well, what happens when you get your head across? You get kneed in the face by someone running down the sideline. You fall off and you hit your head on the ground. Now it's very different. Ever since Pete Carroll and the Legion of Boom, high schools have been changing how they do it, where it's more like a rugby tackle, where you get your head to the nearest part you can get them, keep your head to the side.
Well, Spencer Pasinger, who was a former Giant as well, he's in the movie as well. I forgot to shout out to Spencer because he has his own All-American show and blew up. But Spencer said that he used to get made fun of because the way he tackled. He wouldn't put his head down. He wrapped up, and he's like, you can make fun of me all you want, but I'm not changing the way I do it. I'm not leading with my head. And so the way he played a much different style, and he's like, by the age of 30, I'm done, no matter what.
We're by the way, we're here at Radio Row with the director of Concussed, the American Dream, Mr. David. And Dave, I know. Actually, Aaron, I know you had something to say, so I'll let you.
Yeah. So just to go off of that, it's especially when you have kids, and I'm sure it's the same case in the pros with a guy like Brett Favre. He had the Iron Man streak. I'm not coming out. I'm tough. I'm not coming out. And we know from the research, even as a high school coach, I know the first concussion. All right, maybe you're okay. Second one within the span of a game. Now we're talking about lifetime consequences.
100%. I mean, and here's the thing: the brain isn't meant to keep getting hit. And so once it's kind of like the old adage of a boxer or MMA fighter. Once the chin starts to go, they're more prone to be knocked out. If they haven't been knocked out before, then maybe there's a better chance of them not getting knocked out. But you see that first time that you're really hurt, you can't get that back. And even Brett Favre said, you can't make the club in the tub, though. I thought that's a cool saying because if you're not, he's like, I got my job because the guy before me got hurt. And I'll never forget about that. He's like, Tom Brady, the only reason you know Tom Brady is because Drew Bledsoe got hurt. I mean, you wouldn't have heard of Tom Brady.
Bledsoe almost died, actually.
Yes, he did.
It was that bad.
Yes, he did. And that was because of his, if I'm not mistaken, his liver.
Yeah.
And it was because of the Jets. And after the game, that was when Tom Brady came in, and he became Tom Brady because of the New York Jets. And I don't want to really get into that because it makes me sick to my stomach. Thank you for Tully and Brian McKinney for joining me and making me even more sicker. But nevertheless, I look at concussions, and I think concussions is such a detrimental part of what sports is now, not just in football. Everybody keeps talking about football. How about hockey? Even baseball players running into a catcher, getting knocked out because another player is trying to steal home, or soccer players. Yes. Or even, how about this? Car drivers, race car drivers and jockeys falling off a horse. I mean, Christopher Reeves, remember him? I mean, he became paralyzed by falling off a horse. So concussions are, and that had something to do with his brain too, neurological with his brain. So,
and we have two follow-ups. We have Combat the American Dream. It should be dropping at the end of the year. Mm-hmm. That's unboxing. So we got Roy Jones Jr. in that, Floyd Mayweather, Pernell Whitaker, another big cast. And then we have our final one on CTE is Cage the American Dream. UFC Hall of Famer Dan Henderson is in that. Who I wrote his book. You can go get that at Barnes & Noble.
He's an interesting character.
So go check out Hendo the American Athlete. Shout out to Dan Henderson. And also Uriah Faber, Don Fry, Aljamain Sterling, who's from Long Island.
I know Aljamain.
You know,
I trained with him, yeah.
So he's in the film. So one of the things I'm learning, though, is the general public, they don't want to hear, not the general public, corporations don't want to hear about it. And so, again, we just want to create awareness. And since, this is a niche thing, we're going to get out of it. But we just want people to know, like, look, it's all fun and games until someone gets really hurt.
Let me ask you about the Guardian caps for a second, because that is something that we've seen now in the NFL. The high school level, it's been around a little bit longer. They're kind of ugly at the high school level, but you see in the NFL now they've got them, with it looks like the helmet. How much, I don't know how much research you've done into it. What has been done that's actually been impactful to lessen these concussions since we've started getting more of this awareness in the past, a little bit less than a decade.
Well, the NFL has a neuro doctor on the not on the field, in the box on every game, and so they're supposed to chime in and say, hey, this player needs to come out. The other thing with the Guardian caps is it's supposed to lessen the blow. Brett Favre said this, though. He's like, if you have 200 or 300-pound guys going full speed at each other, he's like, something's got to give at some point. So maybe they lessen it, but there's still concussions. It's not like you're eliminating it. And again, the big thing is the league is doing things to mitigate it. What I wonder about is, like, I still watch my buddy's still fighting the UFC, right? I got buddies that box, and it's like you can't make those safer. And people say they're a sport, but you don't play fighting. You don't play boxing.
Nope.
You're trying to knock the other person out. How do you make those sports safer?
It's scary. I think the fact that we have an athlete right over here, Nick Goody. I'm sure he's been concussed playing sports, being hit with a bat or being hit with a ball. I mean, it's crazy. I've been an athlete. I've had plenty of concussions playing hockey for a long time, and boxing and mixed martial arts. It's horrible, and you won't even realize you have a concussion. You really won't. You'll keep playing, and now they've been so careful. It was careless all those years.
It was just seeing stars. Remember?
Yeah,
it was just seeing
stars.
stars.
I remember I got into a car accident. I'll never forget it. I was driving Sunrise Highway. If anybody knows Long Island, Sunrise Highway. It was an ice storm. I lose control of my car, spin out, and I hit into a wall. Thought I was fine. I went home, chilling, whatever. My car was totaled. All of a sudden, I start to get throw-up feeling, and then I start throwing up. Then I start to get dizzy. Then I start to see two. Then all of a sudden, I'm like, what am I supposed to do? I go to the hospital. They give me a CAT scan, and they're like, you got a concussion. And they gave me a grade. And I said, what does that grade mean? Well, it can mean different things. We got to wait and see how your body reacts to it. Elevate your back. Do this. Do that. Drink a lot of water. I mean, it's scary when you really have no control of this. This is the biggest muscle in your body, and you have no control of it.
I was at Aljamain's fight in Fresno when he fought Marlon Moraes.
I remember that fight too.
One of the most brutal knockouts I've ever. And when I was there and I saw him, he got kneed in the face, and they cut to commercial, but I was there cage side, and it didn't even look like he was breathing. I thought he died.
Yep.
Wow.
I mean, he was motionless for a good minute, and he finally came to. Went to the hospital. I went straight there afterward, but it's not something to play with. And, again, we like sports. We want these gladiators. And again, here's what Muhammad Ali said too, which he makes a good point. He said, you have to go outside and get in a car. You can get in a car accident like you did, and you can die. Mm-hmm. So there's all these risks that we take. And so he didn't say you should become a boxer. He's like, he's like young black. He's like, go to school, get an education. Right? Don't do what I do, but just know that if you do this, something bad is going to happen.
I watched a documentary on Ricky Hatton, okay? And it was a great documentary. It's called Hatton. Anybody want to check it out? You're a boxing fan. It's called Hatton. And Ricky Hatton, his career pretty much ended after he got knocked out by Manny Pacquiao. I don't know if anybody remembers it. And Ricky Hatton had a strange family. His father was stealing money from him. He didn't speak to his father for a very, very long time. Ricky should never have fought Manny Pacquiao. He should have never fought. He was drinking. He was doing other things before the fight. He went into the fight. He dropped his hands. He dipped. He got hit. He got knocked the F out. He was completely cold. He had a grade 5 concussion, and he was never the same, ever the same after that. As a matter of fact, I think he only fought like 3 or 4 more fights after that. It's crazy how all it takes is one time being hit over there where you realize that you can't do it anymore. It's sad. It really is. And what's going on with Brett Favre is horrible. I mean, I don't care what he does on and off the field. This has nothing. This guy was a warrior. He was a great football player. You never wish bad about anybody. And Brett Favre being diagnosed with Parkinson's disease is absolutely horrible to hear something like that. And that is neurological. So.
And they said it had to be something you did as a profession, or it has to be genetic, and it's not in his genetics. And by the way, big shout out to Brett Favre. He's one of the most genuine people I know. I know there's two sides, and the truth will come to light. Mm-hmm. And if people just look at the facts right now, there's some that are charging him guilty before even there's nothing even been indicted.
Right.
And one of the things I know about him is I don't think he knew about where the money came from. He paid it all back.
Mhm.
And so now it's just like the court of public opinion.
Of course. The public doesn't know what the hell they're talking about half the time anyway. So, of course, that we have to, twist and turn to try to point their fingers at people. And again, Brett Favre was a Jet. Was he a great Jet? No. But I don't hate the man, and I don't wish death upon anybody. And to hear somebody have Parkinson's disease because of being hit in the head and the head trauma in his 40s,
right?
no, late 40s now. I
Yeah.
think he's going to be 50 now. So
54.
54?
He is in his early
So
50s.
his early 50s. To hear something like that about Brett Favre is just a sad situation. But we really appreciate you, man. And when you came over here, I was like, yeah, let's do it. I mean, I'm all about interviewing people and meeting somebody new is and maybe a new friend. So I love I love the fact that you're trying to help out with concussions. We've talked to so many people with CTE, doctors over the last couple of weeks. I mean, the last couple of days, and in the last couple of weeks, we've had doctors on our show. I'm starting to be neurologically stupid now. I think it's the peanuts. They got stuck in my throat. Now I'm drooling. But nevertheless, I really appreciate the time, man. And we'll stay in touch. I'm going to check out your movie. I want to check it out. I'm a documentary type of fan, so I'm absolutely 110% for it. Go check out Concussed, The American Dream. Concussed, The American Dream.
And it's interesting, the title, right? The American dream is to be wealthy, have success, take care of your family, but at what cost? And if you look at the poster, which Favre is on, it says, pain is a protocol. So I think it's a cool tagline.
Dave, we really appreciate it.
Hey, thank you so much for having me
so
on.
much.
I appreciate it.
We'll be back after this.